The Colossus Javelin is designed for defense, but that doesn't mean it can't dish out a hell of a lot of damage. Today we're going to look at a Colossus build that combines offense and defense into one beautiful package. Let's get started. Just like last time, when I'm making a build, I like to start with a single weapon, component, or ability as a foundation. This time it's the Railgun. This is the highest damage attack available for the Colossus, and it deals bonus damage to armored enemies. Armored enemies have yellow health bars. The Masterwork version, Jared's Hammer's additional effect gives it an extra charge. Now the question is, what can we do to improve the Railgun even farther? The Colossus support ability Battlecry taunts enemies, forcing them to attack you, and it increases their damage taken, so we'll add that to the build. We can take things a step farther with the Masterwork grenade launcher Sentinel's Vengeance. On a small hit streak, it applies the acid effect in a small area. The acid effect causes enemies to take more damage, and an enemy that's affected by both acid and Battlecry will get deleted from existence if hit by Railgun. But there's still even more we can do to improve its strength. Catalytic Overdrive is one of the strongest Colossus Masterwork components available, and I wouldn't be surprised if it winds up in every Colossus build I make moving forward. It increases combo damage by 50%, and detonating a combo increases ability damage by 40% for 20 seconds. With that component locked in, I want to equip something that will make it easy for me to keep the Catalytic Overdrive's additional effect running. The Ordnance Launcher Firewall Mortar is a phenomenal choice for that. This primer fires a mortar that on impact creates a large wall of fire. The Masterwork version, Rubidium's Furnace additional effect will help increase the uptime of the ability. Applying the fire effect to 2 enemies refunds a charge. This additional effect can occur once every 20 seconds. So, with the Railgun, Battlecry, Sentinel's Vengeance grenade launcher, and Firewall Mortar, we've got the main items in our build ready to go, but we've got a lot of component slots left to play with. First, the Vanguard emblem, the Masterwork version of the Overclock Regulator, increases electric and fire damage by 35%. Its additional effect, when our shields break, it creates an explosion around us. The additional effect isn't incredibly valuable, but it's nice to have. Next, Ablative Shielding's additional effect increases our damage resistance by 25% when our shield breaks. For our fourth component, Demolition Tribute increases our shield damage while sprinting by 30%, and defeating an enemy with a melee restores 20% of our health. Although this build focuses more on long-ranged combat with the Railgun and Mortar Strike, if we find ourselves in a situation where we're overwhelmed by too many enemies, we can put up our shield, knock them down, and dish out a lot of damage in the process. Next, we have a Melee Inscription Epic component to increase our melee damage by 5%, and finally, Reinforced Hull. This Masterwork component increases our magazine capacity by 5%, and the additional effect, whenever a negative status effect wears off, all damage dealt is increased by 20% for, I think, 5 seconds? The item description doesn't say, so yeah. Now that we've gone over all the bits and pieces of the build, it's time to get into the field and talk about how they work, but also some of the fundamentals of Colossus gameplay. Alright, we're diving into a Grandmaster contract again, and we are going to showcase all of the different aspects of the build, as well as some tips and tricks for the Colossus. There's a lot of nuance to playing him, a lot of little things that you can do to make your gameplay a little bit smoother, and hopefully I can show off most of those things. So, straight away, the first thing that I want to do is set off a combo so that I can get my Catalytic Overdrive component activated. Now with that active, I'm going to do redonkulous amounts of damage with the Railgun. Shred it off that Scar Hunter's shield immediately. I'm going to finish him off with my autocannon as my Railgun is continuing to recharge. Now I'm starting to take a little bit more damage than I would like to, so I'll put up the shield for just a bit, and I will use it to push that guy into the flames, detonate the combo again, keeping the Catalytic Overdrive buff running. This guy is giving me some problems, so let's bump into him. We knocked off his shield completely, so we can go in for the prime with the mortar, get that big detonation. We are taking a lot of damage, but let's give him a little bit of a bump to restore our health once again. Sending out another mortar. Don't need to use the Railgun for those guys. We can finish him off with a slam to both recover our health and trigger another combo to keep the Catalytic Overdrive rolling. So that was really, we couldn't have done it better. That was a perfect showing of how the build is supposed to function. The only thing that we're missing is a big armored target that we can lay into. We can use all of our defense down components, the Battlecry, as well as the acid debuff from our grenade launcher. So hopefully we get some Scar Enforcers that we can dump truck with all of our abilities. Alright, so after doing the first part of that contract on GM1, I quickly realized that I have a little bit too much gear for that difficulty for a contract, so I upped the difficulty to GM2, and we're gonna see if we struggle. This should be alright, but it's gonna be significantly more challenging. Going into a GM2 contract, we're gonna have to fight a lot harder, and we're gonna get to see the capabilities of the build a lot better, because enemies are not gonna get completely obliterated. But maybe I will. I do have my ultimate available, so I'll use it to clear out some of the Scar Scrappers, get a little bit of splash damage on the Hunters as well. Didn't clear out too much stuff, but we have our Mortar, so we can set up some nice combos. Those Destroyers are going to be a little bit of a nuisance, and there's a Hunter in the back that's causing problems as well. It's going to be tricky to kill both of them at the same time. These guys were trying to flank me. That would have been pretty gross if they killed me. But thankfully, I caught them in the act. We'll eliminate that one with the Railgun. So, we're going to have to use our shield a lot in this encounter, because the damage that these enemies do at Grandmaster 2 difficulty is significant. We'll send out the Mortar to get a little bit of tick damage on those guys that are in the back. Send out a Railgun shot to detonate the combos that we have set up, the primes that we have set up. And that's the beauty of the Railgun, and that's what makes this both an offensive build and a defensive build. When I'm fighting at long range, I'm being defensive. When I'm going in like this, I'm being offensive. I'm being aggressive. Now, these Scar Enforcers, thankfully they're not the legendary variants, because they would have had a hell of a lot of health for me to chew through. They're just regular old Scar Enforcers, so they won't be too difficult. Now, going in like that for a big melee slam is a bit dangerous, but I felt confident. I was feeling good. Now, we got the taunt out. I'm overheated. That's unfortunate. I'm going to try and hit that crit spot, maybe. Yes, 94,000 damage. Took out a huge chunk of the Scar Enforcer's health, and I think I'm going to finish these guys with my ultimate. The beauty of really any Colossus build is that you're going to get your ultimate a lot, because the Colossus combos a lot, and it's very, very satisfying when you do. So let's send out another Mortar. This guy's gonna go, and this guy's gonna go as well. I don't think I hit the crit spot. It always makes me feel a little bit extra cool when I do kill people with critical hits, but it is what it is. We can't always get those crits. So I think we just have the Scar Hunters left and maybe a couple of Destroyers. Now that Scar Hunter, I want to knock him out of the sky before he starts shooting. And now we can just lay into him with our guns. I'm going to set that firewall down right below him. Knock him back down with the Railgun. Send out that firewall. Oof. Came up a little bit short. I just realized I have a thing on my back, which is why I can't fly. I've been trying to fly a lot, and I forgot that I had something picked up, so I can't. Okay, let's go put this down, because I think we actually get infinite spawns in this area until we complete the objectives. So I probably want to go ahead and do that. Whew, okay. This might be a little bit too intense for me to talk comfortably about all the different components of the build and how to work with the Colossus, but I do believe it is a good showcase of how this is supposed to work. I'm just not doing the best job of explaining exactly what's going on. So I'm trying to use my shield as much as possible to defend myself from enemy attacks. The battle cry increases the enemy damage taken. My melee knocks them to the ground, it staggers them, and my combo effect is dealing big area of effect damage to all nearby enemies. This guy is susceptible to a combo. Every time I combo, I activate that catalytic overdrive. Ideally, I will have that active 100% of the time. It's not particularly difficult to do that because of the firewall mortar. It allows me to combo very frequently. Let's go ahead and knock all these guys down with our shield, and this is precisely why I have that component on, to increase the shield damage. That knockdown is something that I do quite often, really. I use it both to reposition enemies and to control the battlefield a little bit, because the fire status effect does a lot of damage, but it doesn't control anything. And sometimes I need a little bit of that control when things are starting to get hectic. This guy doesn't want to get knocked down. He's too strong. He's way too strong. Okay, let's stop being silly. Let's go ahead and activate Battle Cry so we can get their damage taken increased. Set out a nice combo there. Oof. We almost have our ultimate right now, and that's what we desperately need. I'm going to go in for a smash because I know that's going to give it to me. That's what we needed. Combining offense and defense. Fighting at range when you need to be defensive. Going in for the melees when you need to get aggressive. Pull out your shield for a nice juicy charge in when you need to. Hold up the shield and defend the point when you need to. It's versatility, it's flexibility, offense and defense all in the same package. Get out of here, buddy. And you too. Send out that taunt again. Ooh, hell went. Okay, let's see if we can get that acid effect applied to the enforcer. Didn't get the crit. Maybe I can get it. Yes, 91,000 damage right on his butt. And they are sliding towards me, doing the moonwalk a little bit. Got them close together for a combo. The melee's going to stagger them, so they're not going to burn me to death. Ooh, boy. Hit him again, hit him again, hit him again. Let's reload this grenade launcher so we can reapply the acid status effect. Set up another firewall mortar in the path that he's going. Go for the taunt. Let's set it up. Knock him down. 100,000 damage right there. That's what you want to see when you're using this build. These stupid high damage from your railgun. Well, let's see if we can take this guy out. Oh. Now you see, when you don't have all the buffs going, the railgun shot's only doing 65k, but in those moments when you can get them all running, ooh, shit. When you can get all those buffs running, feels real good. And there we go, folks. That's going to do it for the build for today. Going through a Grandmaster 2 contract solo was incredibly difficult, but as you can see, with the right build, the right equipment, you can make it through. With all of that said, I've got more builds for the Colossus that I want to talk about, as well as some for the Ranger, so we might revisit him a little bit next week. And then, of course, we move into our next overview. Possibly the Interceptor, maybe the Storm, but I'll leave that one as a surprise. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do by liking, subscribing, watching, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Anthem, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.